States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll begin the meeting with a moment of silence. And as we do, if we could please remember Mary Plass, who had just passed away. She was an election worker, worked in a library, spent a lot of time volunteering at the senior center, lifelong resident of Whitman. And if we could keep her family and her soul in our prayers and in our thoughts. I need to announce that the members of the public will not be able to physically attend this meeting due to the closing of Town Hall, but the meeting is being broadcast live on Comcast Channel 12. Can also be viewed via live stream at WHCA TV. It will subsequently be broadcast on YouTube.com. Like a motion to approve bill and payroll warrants?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to accept correspondence in the read file?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Yes.
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Before we get into new business, Sean Kane has written to the board a public comment, and even though we're not having public comments since the public isn't here, he took the time to write this out. So I thought I'd read it into the record. It's from Sean Kane, lovingly known as Citizen Kane in my household. I appreciate the thorough discussion and careful action the board has taken over the past couple of months. This is going to be another difficult winter, and the action steps you have implemented to protect our community has been proactive and effective. Thank you. In addition, over the past couple of years, the board has made significant progress on developing a comprehensive capital plan, strategic plan, and recently adopted financial policy. With this in mind, I believe that it would be helpful to provide updated information about these initiatives at the upcoming town meeting. It would also be helpful if the board could make explicit connections between the relevant articles on the warrant and the plans and the policy that have been developed. For instance, if the board is going to recommend that the building inspector role transition to a full-time position, then ideally the public should see where that initiative is reflected in the strategic plan and the long-term financial impact it would have on the budget. Similarly, providing information to the public about the DPW building would be logical. Specifically, information about the project within the larger capital plan, a reference to the debt policy, and maybe a connection to the Madden recommendation would provide helpful guidance. That is, how much money should be used out of stabilization versus enterprise funds versus debt exclusion. It may be early in the project to have precise information about these variables, but I believe that it is helpful for the public to become aware that these variables will be formally considered and critically that they fit within the limits and context of a larger plan. Our community is in a vulnerable situation, and the financial decisions we make in the upcoming months will have a real impact. I've been impressed by the work that has been accomplished by the board recently and over the past couple of years. I am sharing this message because I believe in that work, and I hope that the thorough and proactive plans and policy will guide our decisions and empower us to achieve our common mission. And it's from Sean Kane at 31 Forest Street. I'd also like to direct the board's attention at this time to an email that we all received from Don Byers, the chair of the Cultural Council, outlining the funding that the Mass Cultural Council has given to the town for projects throughout the year. We'll be acting on some of her requests tonight, but she has an email that lists other things that are going to be going on during the year because of the grant money that we've received, and I just wanted to direct your attention to that too. They're doing a good job. New business, take action to adopt the Town of Whitman 2021 Integrated Municipal Vulnerability, Preparedness, and Hazard Mitigation Plan. Turn it over to you, Lincoln, or to the chief, whichever way can get this done the most efficiently.
Indeed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a plan, the Municipal Vulnerability, Preparedness, and Hazard Mitigation Plan. It was worked on quite a lot in several public meetings and private meetings. Selectman Evans was a big part of it, as were Chief Hamlin and Chief Clancy. This plan, the adoption of this plan, it was just approved by the Federal Emergency Management Agency. We just received word of that. And the board's approval is needed in order for the town to continue to be eligible for the grant program that has allowed the town to purchase the generator, the emergency generator at the fire station, and continue to be eligible for future grants like that.
Okay, and we have a resolution here that we can vote on. I'll read the resolution into the record, and then we'll vote on it, and that should take care of it.
That'd be great. Thank you.
It's a resolution adopting the Town of Whitman Integrated MVP HMP Plan 2021 update. Ordered that the Town of Whitman, by and through its Town Administrator Lincoln Heineman and the Board of Selectmen, is hereby authorized to adopt the Town of Whitman Integrated Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness and Hazard Mitigation Plan. Whereas the Town of Whitman established a committee to prepare the Town of Whitman Integrated Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness and Hazard Mitigation Plan, and whereas the Town of Whitman participated in the development of the Town of Whitman's IMVP HMP, and whereas the Town of Whitman Integrated Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness and Hazard Mitigation Plan 2021 contains several potential future projects to mitigate potential impacts from natural hazards in the Town of Whitman. And whereas duly noticed public meetings were held by the local hazard mitigation planning team on April 8th, 2021, for the public and municipality to review prior to consideration of this resolution. And whereas the Town of Whitman authorizes responsible departments and/or agencies to execute their responsibilities demonstrated in the plan. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town of Whitman Board of Selectmen formally approves and adopts the Town of Whitman 2021 Integrated Municipal Vulnerability, Preparedness, and Hazard Mitigation Plan in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40, and that the Town of Whitman, by and through its Town Administrator and Select Board, is further authorized to execute all documents necessary to implement this order. And I'd like a motion to pass, to adopt.
So moved.
For a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Yes, oh, I'm sorry.
Just briefly, I didn't see it, but could you just make sure that got up on the website so people
Yes, certainly. Yep.
have a better idea?
Yep. I'll make sure it's up there.
Anything else? All those in favor? Aye. And it's here for us to sign. Next item on the agenda. Couple of more things before we meet with the representatives. Act on the resignation of William White from the position of Auxiliary Special Police Officer effective December 20th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Act on the request of Christine Morse for permission to use the Town Hall Auditorium on Saturday, March 5th, 2022, for the purpose of holding a beauty pageant to benefit the Miss Whitman Scholarship Organization. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Questions?
I have one, it's probably the same one as you. Should we include something in regards to the conditions at the time, such as we're in now, if it goes that far out, which we all hope it doesn't?
I think that's wise. Yeah, I think that's wise. I mean, we might want to figure out quickly what those conditions are under which we'd be okay with it continuing, and under which conditions we would not be okay with it continuing. Certainly, I can communicate to the organizers that social distancing, the 6-foot social distancing, would be expected. I can't say for sure in a beauty pageant. I would imagine that's possible, but I can't say for sure. But, you know, we just want to know what the conditions are by which we wouldn't want it to go forward, I think, is the point.
I would say current conditions will apply, I think, whatever that is at the time of that thing. Because, we could be clear, we could have another one of these.
Right.
So the vote would be dependent upon
Conditions at that time.
the condition of the state of health of the town at the time.
Yeah, I think that would help.
Makes sense? Okay. Someone want to make that as an amendment? Someone like to amend it?
I'll amend that to my original motion.
Second?
Second. Yep.
Any discussion further? All those in favor?
Aye.
Act on the following request of Don Byers on behalf of the Whitman Cultural Council. 1, use of the Town Hall Auditorium on Sunday, March 13th, 2022, for a Great Day for the Irish, a singing performance by Ruth Harkovitz. Excuse me. And on Saturday, April 2nd, 2022, for Champagne, Cake, and Art. Also, permission to bring back the Summer Concert Series on June 2nd, 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th, 2022, and permission to hold a cultural festival at the Town Park on Saturday, June 25th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
And this motion would be subject to the same conditions, depending upon the conditions of,
I would say that the indoor part anyway, the outside.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Act on the request for toll booth fundraisers submitted by the following: the American Legion Post number 22, April 23rd, 2022, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Rain date May 14th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Whitman Area Toy Drive, September 3rd, 2022, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Knights of Columbus, October 8th, 2022, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Danielle, do you mind if we go just a couple more minutes and clear up this, and then we can go to...
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Ooh, where am I? Oh, yeah. Establish a mission statement for the DPW Building Committee and consider appointments to said committee. Lincoln?
Yes, so the board's last discussion on this subject, obviously the board decided to set up a 10-member Department of Public Works Building Committee. I just wanted to, there was further discussion regarding, the possibility of attempting to set up the committee prior to a special town meeting when it occurs. Just wanted to bring it back on the agenda. There have been, as a reminder, there are 10 members. The Board of Selectmen's actions on this would be 4 members of the general public and 1 member from the board to serve on that. So those are 2 decisions in front of you. There have been 3 residents who have expressed interest in writing to be members of that committee. They are Frank Lynham, David LeMay, and John Galvin. So we wanted to make sure the board was aware of that. Secondly, the piece regarding the mission statement, at the board's last discussion on this, it seemed clear to me that the policy direction was such that the board wants to pursue building a Department of Public Works new building at the current site at 100 Essex Street, to the exclusion of the possibility of some other site, which I know has been discussed in the past. So I think it would be wise, if that's the policy goal that the board wants to pursue, that it provide a clear mission statement. I would suggest a simple one to the new Department of Public Works Building Committee, something to the effect of, that the mission of the Department of Public Works Committee shall oversee the procurement of a new DPW building at 100 Essex Street, just to make clear what the mission, what any entity's mission is before at the outset, to make sure the members of that committee are clear on what the goal is. So,
Have you spoken to representatives from the DPW to see if they're in line with that goal also?
have not been able to connect with the chair of the commissioners. So,
Okay, maybe we should have that vote
sure.
at a subsequent meeting.
Understood.
So that we want to make sure that they're walking with us in the same direction.
Understand.
Okay, and as far as the appointments of the committee, we still have one left to go. I'd like to announce that we have another position we have a position yet to be filled on that subcommittee. And so if we could then schedule, if we're looking at our schedules for the rest of the month, we do have a meeting next week to interview candidates that were going to be interviewed this evening for Assistant Town Administrator. The reason why they're not being interviewed tonight is because, as you can see, one of our members is not able to be here. And would like to have all members present for that. One of our members has a COVID-related issue, which should be resolved before that. It should be resolved tomorrow, actually. So, we have a meeting on the 11th that will only deal with Assistant Town Administrator interviews. That'll be the whole business for that evening. We should probably have a meeting on the 18th, too. And the meeting on the 18th can clear up the business with the DPW committee and anything else that comes up before the end of the month. Is that okay with people? Does that make sense?
Just a quick question, on the 11th, is that going to be at 6?
It's going to be at 6 o'clock. The
6.
first interview will be at 6.
And then the 18th will be at 7?
Sure, we can do it at 6.
I just want to make sure I get it right. That's all.
Okay, is that, we're all clear on that then? Okay, old business, act on a special town meeting warrant. This should only take a minute. We've seen the warrant before. You had to make 2 adjustments to it.
Correct. So the 2 adjustments since your last version, one is non-substantive in nature. It's simply adding in Article 1 that clarifying from town council that the fiscal year for the prior year expenditure needs to be identified, so it has been. The substantive piece is in conversation with town council. We've discovered that there had been several provisions that had loosened some restrictions regarding town meeting. One of those was that, notwithstanding any bylaw, et cetera, to the contrary, that a town meeting may be held not in the geographical limits of the town. That has expired. One thing that town council brought up that I think be good just to get a sense from the board is if we want to pursue this at annual town meeting, is that the town may have a town meeting outside its geographical limits as long as we say so in our bylaws, which we don't right now. So we could certainly have a bylaw that says, the town may hold its town meeting outside of Whitman, and obviously the place for that would be almost certainly the high school in Hanson. But as of this moment, we do not have that authority. So the only place that, in my mind, in winter is a reasonable possibility is in the town hall auditorium. Our town hall custodian did a great job in Todd DeCudo in figuring out socially distanced with 6 feet, how many people can fit in there, including in the balcony. He estimates 200. We would continue to have a quorum of 150 for this special town meeting. So I do think that, it's up to the board, obviously, as to, in this condition and in these circumstances, do we want to have a town meeting at the end of January? But I do think it is possible with appropriate social distancing. So,
We all okay with that? I haven't seen, I mentioned to you this before, I don't think I've ever seen the lower town hall with the chairs 6 feet apart. I'm hoping, I think I've seen sort of an attempt to social distance, but I haven't seen those chairs 6 feet apart before. We just have to make sure that that can happen. If that can happen, if we can fit 200, then that'd be great. Now, one other thing, though. If conditions remain the way they are now, as far as COVID is concerned, that meeting is up for grabs, too. Once we set the meeting, if I'm correct, right? Once we set the meeting, we'll vote on that tonight, then it becomes up to the moderator and the Board of Health to decide whether or not it can happen.
it's actually, yeah, so just to clarify, once the meeting is posted by this board, if it is posted by this board, it's up to the moderator in consultation with the Board of Selectmen and in consultation with a public safety official. So it could be, either police chief is how you would probably interpret that state law.
Yeah, I think the Board of Health is an appropriate.
Agreed. Yeah, the state law says, quote, public safety official. So if we're saying
Not
public,
public
that's-
health official.
it does not.
It also does not preclude us from asking.
Oh, of course not.
So
Of course not.
I think it's
No.
kind of we know we would ask, I think,
Of course
anyway.
not, yeah.
And one other thing is, based on the reports that I've seen from South Africa and Israel, that the curve of 6 to 8 weeks and ours started the first week of December. That's the end of January. Perhaps we'll be in a better place at that time.
Well, yeah, I hope your sources in South Africa are giving you the right
These
information.
are prominent studies, so I'm hopeful.
Okay, what's that? Can we act on this special town meeting warrant then? Does someone like to make a motion that we adopt the
I'll make
the
that motion.
revised?
We adopt
The
as
revised warrant?
outlined by the town administrator.
Second?
Second, yes.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
And
Aye.
Okay, so we're, ball is starting to roll.
So do we need to sign that tonight? Yeah.
10 minutes late. Would you guys like to come up to the table, please? The last item on the agenda tonight, because we are not having the interviews tonight, is a short meeting with the Board of Health about the COVID response measures. We've received your revisions, the town of Whitman quarantine guidelines. Looks good to me. Do you need a vote on that, or would you like a vote on that, or?
I think Mr. Heineman was looking for a
Board of Health
vote.
has voted it, right?
The Board of Health has not voted
We have
those.
not voted. We are having another meeting on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, which we can vote if needed.
Okay.
I feel that, and I believe Mr. Heineman feels that you could adopt this at this point.
Yeah, I think it would be, we have been following essentially these guidelines for quite a while. They haven't changed in any significant way except to respond to, within the last week, or slightly more than a week, the changes recommended by the Centers for Disease Control and the State Department of Public Health, and also just sort of some tweaks and clarifications about PCR tests being required rather than rapid tests. And I think because it deals with, guidelines that employees are required to follow, and that we've gotten a little, slightly farther afield, not in any significant way, but slightly farther afield from what the CDC, what the letter of the thing is with the CDC and DPH, I do think it would be helpful to have the board adopt them if you see fit. But obviously, of course, the Board of Health, and as I mentioned, Dan and Danielle have worked really carefully on this. I've given little pieces of input, but the Board of Health itself has not taken a vote on these new guidelines.
Okay. What would you prefer to have, a vote by the board on this, or a vote by the board that supports your recommendations?
You're
One
welcome
second.
to go ahead and adopt this at this point.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion to adopt the quarantine guidelines?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second, with what discussion?
Discussion, you have?
Just, second paragraph here. Should that be must, wear a mask for 10 days, not should?
Where are you looking at it, Randy?
Oh, I see.
Second paragraph.
Yeah.
However, they should wear a mask.
Yes, that can be edited, of
Yep,
course.
we will edit that to wear must.
Or shall.
Instead of should?
They shall,
They shall. Very
shall
good.
wear a mask.
Instead of should.
Got a grammarian over there.
Thank you.
Anything else, guys? Okay, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to bring before the board tonight?
I think one of the most important things about this is that the definition of fully vaccinated has changed.
Right.
Those who have not had a booster and that were vaccinated more than 6 months ago or more than 2 months ago with J&J are not considered fully vaccinated at this time. And we urge everybody to become vaccinated and to get a booster as soon as possible.
Have you considered mandating vaccination?
For the town employees or for the town?
The town employees?
We have discussed it, and we will bring this up for discussion again this coming Tuesday. It's one of the reasons I've asked for another meeting this month. Like everyone, we're kind of chasing our tails with Omicron. It's coming around faster than anybody thought. And there have been some incidences in town recently with the town employees
Right.
that are making me and possibly other board members, I can't speak for them, reconsider this.
I think you probably find that the selectmen would support you on that desire to have people vaccinated too.
Yes, go ahead.
Has there been any discussion about natural immunity if someone has had COVID and then had the 2 shots of either Pfizer or Moderna?
Your immunity is going down quickly. If you've had the 2 shots and not had the booster, according to the studies, your immunity is sinking quickly the further out you get. But if you get the booster, it's bringing you back up.
Yeah.
And there's a question now whether they're going to reduce the time between your shots and your booster. They're discussing that with Pfizer, reducing you to 5 months after your initial series. So I expect if they do that with Pfizer, they'll probably turn around and do it with Moderna.
I had a antibody test done,
Uh-huh.
and it said that I had plenty.
Oh, great.
However, it didn't give me a specific number. My wife's did have a number.
Right.
Not that the number means anything to me.
Right,
You know,
right.
but,
But
so
that's
that's why I was
encouraging.
asking about that.
It's very
because
encouraging.
We, I would urge people to get the antibody tests if they are able to.
Right. Unfortunately, it's not possible on a large scale. So we're encouraging everybody to get a booster. That's not to say you're not going to get Omicron. People are getting Omicron, unfortunately, but they are staying out of the hospital, and that's the goal right now, is to keep everybody out of the hospital and from getting very, very sick. And the booster will do that for you.
So you're actually going to be discussing this on Tuesday, whether or not
We are.
vaccination for everyone is required.
We are.
There's been some discussion in the past,
Right.
and I think now with just everything that's going on recently, we want to revisit it and maybe come to a different conclusion than the first time.
Exactly.
I wish you all good fortune in that discussion.
You know, and on that note, we're asking town employees that if you're sick, please don't come to work,
Right.
period.
Right.
If you're sick, please don't come to work.
Even if it's a sniffles.
Yeah, it's not up to you to decide if it's COVID or not COVID until you're tested. You cannot make that decision. You just can't tell nowadays. You can't come to work until you're tested. If you're sick, you're sick. And we assume it's COVID until it's not.
The other thing that I think we probably would like to encourage you or I'm sort of speaking for the board, I hope I am anyway, but you can slap me if I'm not, is whether or not masks should be required at all times, not just when you're in your office.
And that's another reason we're having the meeting Tuesday. Again, we voted at our last meeting to recommend to your board that masks be required anytime an employee leaves their workspace.
Right.
We felt that if you were working 8 hours in an office, that say there were 2 or 3 of you, and you're like a little group, and you know your vaccination status with each other and you're comfortable, that you shouldn't have to spend 8 hours with a mask on. Unfortunately, we've been proved wrong recently.
Right.
So we're going to revisit this. Again, people are coming to work sick and assuming it's not COVID, and it's turning out to be COVID. So we're going to revisit this Tuesday, but for now, our recommendation from our meeting last week was to your board that,
Nice catch, Dan.
Stan?
he was swatting at my head. I thought he didn't like something I said.
Are you eating Crimson Way?
Oh,
Thank you.
You're the reason I noticed
Right,
it. I
right,
saw you
went right
looking.
for it, yeah.
So right now, our recommendation to your board is that any time, and you can adopt it or not adopt it, anytime anybody leaves their workspace at all to go to another workspace or the restroom or the hallway, is that they wear a mask. And that between their department manager and their work area, they can decide what they're comfortable with in that area. Again, we are going to revisit this on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, that's what it is now.
That's what we've recommended to you
Right.
to adopt for the town employees.
That was on the 28th, so
Right, right.
last Tuesday.
Right.
And I think some of us are getting uncomfortable with that definition of, as long as you're comfortable, you can go without it.
Yes, some of us are getting uncomfortable too. I mean, like I said, a lot has changed in the last week.
Right, right.
It's so much so that I asked for another meeting,
That's
and we
terrific,
only usually
Dana.
meet once a month. That it's rapidly evolving.
Well, when I saw in the paper today that the positivity rate, or on TV, in the state of Massachusetts is 18%.
Mm-hmm.
My God. I mean, when you think about that,
And it's not unexpected.
it's probably more than that.
It's not unexpected due to all the holidays we had and the nature of the Omicron. It is concerning to see the number like that. We're trying to get past pandemic into endemic stage, and there's a whole series of criteria to reach endemic, which means that we can deal with it on a day-to-day basis and not be in the crisis that we're always in right now. So, but we're a ways from that.
Great. Does anyone have any questions of Danielle or Dan?
You're meeting what day?
The
We're
11th.
The 11th. All right,
At
so
9:30 a.m.
We're also meeting the 25th too, so
So, if you don't mind,
Okay.
I've done a ton of thinking about this because somewhat conflicted. But again, it's a tremendously fluid situation that we're seeing a lot of change. I think a lot of us took some heat for closing last week, but it was turned out to be a pretty good decision. And I think to myself, like Brian said, I heard the same thing. I think if you look at the countries that have gone through this Omicron wave, that it's devastating up front and then seems to dive right off. So I obviously don't want to continue mandates longer than we have to, but I think it's pretty imperative on the board to stay out in front of this like I think we have. So I would absolutely be behind making a motion this evening that we maintain closure of buildings until the 11th and institute, this is the other thing I've thought about, and institute a full-time mask mandate in town buildings. To me, comfort levels and friendships are not what medical decisions are made over. And I think if we replayed that same situation this past week, we would have had some problems. I then say, yes, it's uncomfortable to wear a mask all day long, but our kids are doing it every single day, Monday through Friday. Some even playing sports with the mask on. I don't want to continue this longer than we have to, but I think at least another week gives us a better time to see where we're at. So that would be my motion, that we would keep town buildings closed until after the 11th meeting by the Board of Health, and full-time mask wearing in all town buildings until the 11th.
Is that good with?
I can't speak for the whole board. I am certainly in agreement with that at this point. I think you're going to need to go past the 11th at this point.
Well, that gives you guys a chance to.
Right, that will give us a
recommend
chance
to us,
to
too.
recommend to you also, but yes.
We have a meeting on the 18th.
Okay,
So-
yep. So,
Meeting
yes,
on the
we'll be
11th is-
meeting.
And the 18th, so they'll be meeting on the 11th, and we'll have time to take care of whatever they recommend on the 18th.
All right. And we-
Or the 11th, it's 11th in the morning, yeah.
Yeah, we're in
or
the
11th.
morning.
Yeah, so if we
right.
had 5 minutes or
Yep.
10 minutes.
Right. So, I mean, I'm in agreement with that also.
Okay, and Randy's motion's okay with you?
It's fine with me.
Okay. Would someone like to second that motion?
I'll second that. I do want to mention one thing that I think everybody knows. This is highly infectious variant and very light symptoms, which could inevitably get us to big herd immunity in the long run. The fact that it's so contagious, there's so many people getting it, but with light symptoms, and after 5 days they seem to move on, could very well be a blessing in disguise under those circumstances.
Yeah,
So-
you know what I keep seeing in my mind's eye, though, is that little 2-month-old baby that was on television who has Omicron and is hooked up to
Yep.
thing. It's not light for that little guy.
Well, I can say that I've spoken to many close friends and family who have got this as adults, and they are, it's sniffles and this and that, but there's always going to be an exception. But I'll tell you, the one that I had just about in next week, it'll be a year, was nothing like that. It was 3 weeks of, oh my God, so I think we've come a long way, but I agree with
I
you.
mean, I don't know, I don't think typically you and I watch the same news channels, but I think, I've heard the same, same thing, and I will say that I personally know 29 Whitman residents right now that have this, and fortunately, very low symptoms. So I think on one end, where this is sweeping through us, in vaccination status vary amongst them. And I've heard the same thing, that herd immunity, and I'm not saying I'm an expert on that, but I think this wave, is definitely getting people sick, but I think, like you said, Brian, we are, it does seem a little lighter than early on, so.
I just want to make crystal clear what Selectman Lomatina's motion is, which is that Town Hall is open by appointment only through, at least through January 11th, to be revisited at the January 11th meeting, and that all people, regardless of employee or non-employee status, when they are in a town building, will be wearing a mask at all times. I just want to make crystal clear that that's the intended
That is it,
motion.
crystal clear.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion of that crystal clear motion?
Just going to say, I was coming in tonight kind of expecting that, given what we've done during the closure of Town Hall for the last 2 weeks, updating our COVID policies, really pushing vaccinations, thank you, Danielle, again, for echoing that, distributing tests, we didn't mention that, but that was a booming success last week to the residents. And now, looks like we're considering requiring masks at all times in Town Hall. That was going to be enough for me to consider reopening buildings maybe next Monday. But it sounds like we may want to give the Board of Health some time to consider it. So I'll back off of that. But I did just want to mention what I was thinking there, which is, the Council on Aging, the library provides some essential services to a lot of our residents. Beyond just Meals on Wheels, it's social and emotional connections. It's things that people do need on a regular basis. And I don't want to I don't want this to have to go on much longer than it has to, just to get us through this wave.
I agree.
Especially if we take other precautions, masking,
Yep.
vaccines. Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
May I just say the library is open by appointment, and I know people have been utilizing that. Also, there's talk that you possibly may, unfortunately, get COVID more than once. I don't know what variant is coming next, but even if you have COVID, I strongly recommend you get your vaccines and your boosters once you've recovered. And also to think about upgrading your masks. I see you guys have. They're recommending not using cloth masks anymore, but investing in some good surgical quality masks at least. To get us through this. So.
No more gators.
No more gators, no. And we do not accept gators at our
Grandma's
vaccination sites.
Knitted masks.
Oh, I have
Yeah.
some nice plaid masks at home, too.
Yeah,
just sitting
no,
on the
no more
door.
gators. Not a fan.
Right.
And just to, I guess, plug the booster clinic tomorrow, is there still spots if somebody had
We
to
actually
sign
have
up?
more spots. People are, I believe, very sick and they're dropping out. We have spots opening up. I don't usually do this, but I will take walk-ins until we run out of vaccine tomorrow. So we're open tomorrow from 9 to 2.
Oh, great.
And I will take walk-ins, and also we have spots open on January 20th from 2:30 to 7:30, and you can register for that through the town of Whitman on the homepage, on the website. There's a link to register for those clinics.
Great.
So, but tomorrow I will take walk-ins. We don't usually, but I have plenty of vaccines, so until we run out of vaccine tomorrow, we will take walk-ins from 9 to 2.
Thank you. Dan, did you want to say something?
I guess just very quickly, if the votes go into mandatory masking, I'm fine with that. Tomorrow morning, I can get those up on the door. I'll run it by you. Whatever we want to put up there, okay.
Perfect. Okay.
If I could just, I think one issue that the board would want to touch on is the question of public meetings of boards, committees, commissions. This wasn't a vote by the Board of Health last week, but I participated in the meeting, and it seemed the consensus of the board members, that the Board of Health members, that each, at that time anyway, that each board, committee, commission could make up its own mind regarding meeting in person or remotely or some hybrid of those things. I don't, obviously the board hasn't met since then, so, I don't know if that's Danielle's feeling now. But for those, it seems as though many boards do want to meet in person. However, what that means with the restrictions of the open meeting law is that if they're meeting in a town building, which all of them are, that town building, and they're not on Zoom or in some sort of hybrid model, then town hall is effectively open during that because the public needs to have access to that meeting. So if that's, fine with the board, that is to say, when some board is meeting and they're meeting in person, that town hall is effectively open with masks, of course, this new mask mandate, that's fine. I just wanted to bring it up and be clear that that is currently the thing. The board of selectmen could alternatively require remote meetings or required some sort of hybrid. But the restrictions currently with the open meeting law are either that the public has access real time to the meeting in person, or that the public has immediate access because it's being filmed and on WHCA, or very soon after is on WHCA within a day or two max, or that it's on Zoom, not necessarily filmed, but that it's on Zoom and that the public in real time has access on Zoom. Again, there are quite a few boards who do not want to use Zoom, but it's something I think we need to decide what the policy is. So,
Do we know if anything is scheduled for the next week?
there is.
Within the next week?
The Zoning Board of Appeals on Monday.
They're the only board that meets in the building before our meeting on the 11th.
Yep.
I understand what you're saying. I just would be, I guess, cautious, because what if it probably won't happen on the 11th, but on the 18th, the Board of Selectmen decides to open the building, and then, but I definitely understand what you're.
Yeah, there's not a right answer. We just need to make sure that there's a consistent answer, I think, for all boards and committees and commissions, and that we're following the open meeting law.
Is that a hearing meeting?
I believe it is a hearing, yes.
Because if it wasn't, I'd say maybe you could ask them to postpone it a week, but if it's a hearing, it's probably posted, or close to being posted.
It's
You
posted.
recommend,
Posted
so if that's the
already,
only one between now and,
So I think the easiest recommendation, if the board's okay with it, is that town hall be open that evening. That is the easiest one. Is that the best decision for the terms of public health? Maybe not. But that is certainly a board that very much wants to meet in person, for what it's worth. How important that is in terms of everything else going on is, people can have different opinions on, right? But
Danielle?
I don't know how big the board is or how many people they have there. Can they use a bigger space?
yeah, so we can certainly work with them and strongly encourage that they use, for example, the auditorium.
Right. Because that would solve a lot of
Yep.
issues right there.
Do they have a lot of people coming to this meeting? Because you could probably, if you changed and had it up here, you wouldn't need to open it, because you could have WHCA put it on the,
Yeah, so, I mean, it's public hearings on 601 South Avenue and 59 Linden Street. I'm not sure how much interest there might be in that, but I'm sure there's probably at least some members of the public who would like to participate, I imagine.
Yeah, Dan?
I can just speak on experience a little bit. Our last meeting, I put something on the door, just say, call my work phone, which I had on me on silent, and if you want to come in, I will come and grab you. I know it's obviously not as easy, especially with someone like them when they tend to have more guests than the Board of Health does.
Yeah.
But to get through one meeting, maybe that is something you could ask of them. Obviously, wouldn't be ideal, but I don't also know, I'm no expert on open meeting law, so I don't know if that would be acceptable or not. But it's just an
I
idea.
think it's kind of
Yeah,
gray
it's-
area,
yeah.
frankly.
Pardon, I didn't,
I think it's kind of gray area, frankly. I mean, technically, the public is supposed to have full access to the meeting. And what that means, according to the law now, according to the Attorney General's office, is you're able to be in the room on Zoom or have access, simultaneously or very soon after via video. You can call my cell phone is probably
Yeah.
a gray area. And I do think it might be something of a burden, in particular for that
No,
for
I
that
agree,
committee.
yeah.
There isn't full-time staff for the committee, but point well taken.
I don't know, I'm kind of leaning towards having them postpone the meeting. We've decided to close the building, at least until the 11th, until after you've had your meeting. And my inclination would be to tell the zoning board that, can you postpone the meeting? What do you guys think?
after the 11th,
Pardon?
till after the
Yeah,
11th.
till after the 11th. That's the only meeting this week, right?
This,
Then there's
Correct.
ours.
and then there's yours.
Years, but
Yep, and this one, yes.
That might be the best option.
Well, just because the Board of Health is also meeting next Tuesday, and the public will need access to that,
Right.
presumably. Do we want to set two standards there?
I know, it seems a little
Because
hypocritical.
we need to, they
yeah.
need to meet.
Right. Does the zoning board need to meet?
I'm not sure.
Hey, they meeting Thursday?
Monday.
Well,
Monday.
It's a hearing, it could be a time-sensitive issue.
Could be.
Yeah.
I think it's probably been posted in the newspaper
Yep.
and had the required postings. That's not to say that it can't be put off, but,
Right.
yes.
Well,
So
my
if it's
suggestion-
Monday, couldn't they meet in here and get WHCA to televise and only parties that,
Only direct, parties with a direct interest in it would be allowed there. Yes, they could certainly do that. I can tell you they'd probably be resistant to that, but we can certainly tell them that this is what you need to do because town hall is closed, but,
Well, I guess it could be an either or, do it that way or postpone.
or postpone, yeah.
Give them the
Choose.
choice.
Choose what you'd like.
Your choice.
Right.
Make sure the cleaning crew comes in right after they're out.
We've been
We'll
doing
be in the
increased
next-
fogging and cleaning, so.
All right, that sounds okay to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let them know that they'll be on TV though, so they can wear their good stuff, Okay. Anything else? Guys, been a big help tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, if there's no other business, we have no other business until next Tuesday, when we're going to be visited by 3 people.
Mr. Chairman, I have one quick thing I'd like to just mention. I got a text from Mr. Salvucci about the building committee, and you said there was one spot available, and he said that Donnie Westhaver had expressed interest in being on that committee.
He had verbally, I didn't get that in writing.
In writing, okay.
But my understanding from Selectman Silvucci is that he had expressed that
He
interest
just wanted me
verbally.
to mention it.
He needs to write. He needs
Yeah.
to write in if he
Write it
really
down.
wants to do it.
Okay. Very good.
Okay, a motion to adjourn is in order.
Motion.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good. We're done.